But arresting a 14-year-old?
I think this wouldn't even be a question if his name wasn't Ahmed Mohamed.
A 9-year-old girl was suspended for an act of compassion until strangers across this country argued love is the best lesson you can learn.
Cameron wasn't going to let her BFF be bald alone.
I didn't want her to be the only one.
Like many schools, Cameron's Colorado school has a dress code. Shaved heads are not allowed, and she was told don't come back until you have hair.
And we have an update on that Schenectady 7th grader suspended last week for wearing rosary beads to school. Raymond Hoser was suspended again this morning.
And tonight, a 10-year-old bright Indiana girl isn't being allowed to go to school because she colored her hair with Kool-Aid.
The PC police in full effect after a 7-year-old was having breakfast in his school. He chewed the pastry into the form of a gun. Well, that was enough for the school down there, who suspended him for 2 days for chewing his pastry into the form of a gun.
The 6-year-old Colorado boy has been suspended from school for kissing a classmate on the cheek.
But Joe can also make a toy gun out of Legos. He did it for us.
So that's what you made at school?
But when he made one of these at his after-school program at West Hyannis Elementary, the teacher sent him home with a letter threatening the 5-year-old with a 2-week suspension.
This story has exploded on the internet and our Facebook page. As 10 on your side first reported last night, the 7th graders were punished by their school because they shot 2 classmates with airsoft guns and were on the street with the guns. But the debate took off when the question came up about where the incident happened.
I'm going to ask you again. Did you ever leave your property?
No, sir.
First at 11, a 6-year-old boy from Montgomery County speaks with us after he is suspended for making a gun-like gesture with his thumb and forefinger. Tonight, the little boy and his parents tell ABC7 his school went too far.
14-year-old high school student arrested for bringing a homemade clock to school. His teacher thought the device was a bomb. The backlash to his arrest was swift online. The hashtag #IStandWithAhmed quickly becoming a top trend, with responses from Silicon Valley to the White House.
This high school freshman loves to tinker with all things electronic, but his latest invention got the 14-year-old hauled in handcuffs to the police station in Irving, Texas. Take a look at his homemade digital clock, a maze of wires and circuit boards inside a metal case. He built it at home to impress his teachers.
It's my job to pay attention to the game, and I take my job seriously.
While I'm busy watching the game, I need your help keeping an eye on the stands.
If you see something that doesn't look quite right, tell a law enforcement official.
We all play an important role in protecting our communities, and you can help.
If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
But one of them thought it might be a bomb and alerted authorities.
That's a very suspicious device. We live in an age where you can't take things like that to schools.
But arresting a 14-year-old?
I think this wouldn't even be a question if his name wasn't Ahmed Mohamed.
A 13-year-old boy facing assault charges for kissing a classmate. Police in Baltimore County, Maryland say the 8th grader kissed a girl at school after being dared by other students. Now he's being charged with second-degree assault as a juvenile.
So good to see you and to get a chance to talk with you, Ahmed. Tell us a little bit about why you decided to design this clock and bring it to school.
I brought the clock to impress my teachers, and I guess when I did show it to her, she was kind of scared what she saw. She saw a clock, but in her opinion, it looked like a threat to her. So
can I jump in? Go ahead. I've talked to the kid. Go ahead. Right, he's from Dallas, and I've talked to the people in the school district. The kid is a super smart kid, science geek. We talked about science, but while I'm talking to him on the phone, as I asked him a question, tell me what happened, because I'm curious, right? His sister over his shoulder, you could hear, listening to the question, giving him the answer.
I think this wouldn't even be a question if his name wasn't Ahmed Mohamed.
So I don't know all the details of what happened, but what I do know, when I talked to him about science, when I talked to him about magnets, when I talked to him about creating things, he was very, very engaged.
He's great. He's a great kid.
He's a great kid.
No one's doubting that.
I closed it with a cable, so because I didn't want to lock it to make it seem like a threat, so I just used a simple cable, so it won't look that much suspicious. I didn't want to lock it to make it seem like a threat, so it won't look that much suspicious.
A teacher, something or someone's behavior that doesn't seem quite right. It's not about paranoia
or being afraid.
It's about standing up and protecting our communities.
If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
So it won't look that much suspicious.
Then he got to a point, again, secondhand, where one of the teachers, an English teacher apparently, said, look, you got to put it in your backpack because it's going to make some people nervous, and it's making me nervous. And again, secondhand, he wasn't responsive to it at all. So it took 6 classes before anything happened. But all the kid had to do was engage with the teacher, and he didn't. That's the part that was missing. He was wrong, he got arrested, but he didn't. All he had to do was talk to the teacher. But he didn't.
So it won't look that much suspicious.
What if it had been a bomb?
Yeah, exactly.
And so the teacher is supposed to see something that looks like a bomb and go, oh, wait, this just might be my white privilege talking.
Right.
If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
So it won't look that much suspicious.
He should not have been arrested, but he should have opened his mouth and had a conversation about it. He could have said, this is not a bomb.
He was arrested, and they took him off in cuffs and then put him in a cage and burned him. Oh, no, that's ISIS who does that.
The Mohamed family maintained that Ahmed will continue his education somewhere else, and that the 14-year-old, suddenly in the center of a debate over Islamophobia, has options outside of Irving.
What they did to Ahmed is so barbaric and so wrong, and they won't recognize for what they did, and they won't apologize.
You poor, ignorant, brainwashed little girl. What happened to Ahmed in an air-conditioned room in a multi-million-dollar school in Texas is not barbaric. What you're seeing on screen right now, however, my dear, is barbaric. Learn the difference between true barbarism and phony barbarism, which appears to be what you and your entire family are attempting to sell the entire USA. I don't buy your lies, my dear. I hope no one else does either.
What they did to Ahmed is so barbaric and so wrong.
My kid, it was hurt, and it was tortured, and it was arrested, and it was mistreated in front of his friends and his teachers inside of the school.
No, you know what? We put a kid after school for a couple of hours. This is not the end of the world. But you know what? The end of the world does happen all over the world for millions of Muslims who are the victims of other Muslims, of their religion. Where are the liberals on this?
They asked me why I would bring a clock to school, and I had explained to them that I brought it to school to show my teachers, to impress them. So it won't look that much suspicious.
The support of being the President of the United States, Facebook, Google, MIT, from the President of the United States, and I heard that you said you're going to take him up on the offer and go to the White House?
Yes, I will accept his offer, and I will hope to see him soon.
And will you bring the clock with you?
The clock is still in custody with the police.
Do you want it back?
I want it back with my humility.
Okay, and the people at the school thought it might be a bomb, perhaps because it looks exactly like a fucking bomb.
Assalamu alaikum. So I guess everyone knows I'm the person who built a clock and got in a lot of trouble for it. I built the clock to impress my teacher, but when I showed it to her, she thought it was a threat to her.
Perhaps because it looks exactly like a fucking bomb.
I've seen Mark Zuckerberg, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and I am pleased that they are a part of the action and the movement to get rid of everything that has been happening, not just to me, but to other people around the entire globe.
How has it been felt today? You obviously went through something traumatic earlier in this week, and then to get all these tweets and support today, what has it felt like?
It felt really outstanding. I never thought I'd get this far. But since I have gone this far, I will try my best, not just to help me, but to help every other kid in the entire world who has a problem like this.
What was the conversation between you and your teacher when this first happened?
No.
The police chief can't comment on it right now.
Are you going to meet with the police chief? Police chief? What was the conversation between you and your teacher when this first happened?
No.
The police chief can't comment on it right now. Are you going to meet with the police chief? He says he wants to.
But while I'm talking to him on the phone, as I asked him a question, tell me what happened, because I'm curious, right? His sister, over his shoulder, you could hear, listening to the question, giving him the answer.
American Islamic Relations in Chicago tweeted a photo showing staff members who brought clocks to work in support of the teenager. And Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg said, in part, the future belongs to people like Ahmed.
Future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam.
Not that the school district should apologize that when a concern is raised that they should look into it and see whether or not it has basis or merit, but I think that there's an opportunity here to see that we need to balance school safety with respect for our students' rights and their dignity.
But our teacher did follow the correct procedures. You know, when she had a beeping homemade device in her classroom, she responded to the device and she turned that over to the school resource officer.
If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
I thought if we see something, we're supposed to say something. Has that now gone out the window?
If you see something and you say something, then you're a racist, Islamophobic, anti-Muslim bigot. It's interesting to me that the President of the United States has invited this young man to the White House. He hasn't had the two American heroes who took down a jihadi on a French train, but he's invited this school kid, and he's sending a message. He's sending a message to everyone that wants to say something or is thinking something. First of all, if the school didn't do anything, and if that looks like a clock, then I'm the Pope, okay? It looks like every movie bomb you've ever seen. And the fact that, according to law enforcement, he was, quote, passive-aggressive. He wasn't answering questions. They didn't know what they were looking at. They did the absolute right thing. The father, who is known to us, the father who acted as, quote-unquote, defense attorney for the Quran in a mock trial against Terry Jones at the height of the Terry Jones hysteria. So, you know, this is obviously someone who wants to score a victory against, Islamophobia. He's obviously a Islamophobia huckster. He debated Robert Spencer, looking to score a victory against that quote-unquote famous greasy Islamophobe. And he finally hit the jackpot. He has the cause he's been seeking for so long. The media, is lapping this up. This is exactly what they want. They have finally found a victim of quote-unquote Islamophobia, which this was not. The old backlash. The real backlash is what you're seeing.
Yep.
The real backlash is the response to a school trying to protect its children. They did not know what they were looking at. They did not know what they were looking at, and they were taking no chances.
As we all should do, whether we're in school or at work or on the street, as the government tells us to do.
Maybe you see something suspicious. Can you be sure? If you see something, say something to local authorities.
You see Los Angeles, you see Irvine, you see Berkeley, you see LA, you know the bunch that you have. And what's happening here? We pump the gas, they pump poison into the hearts and minds of our future generation. And we are allowing it to happen. And we are allowing it to happen because of our apathy. Apathy is a disease that is killing America. It's not obesity. Obesity you can treat. It's apathy. Apathy that's going to kill us, because we are allowing our enemies to come into our body like cancer and destroy our body from within.
I am holding in my hand the Muslim Brotherhood plan for the destruction of the United States. It is titled the Muslim Brotherhood, an explanatory memorandum for the general strategic goal for the group, the Muslim Brotherhood in North America, written 5/22/1991. This plan was presented as evidence in the Holy Land Foundation trial, the largest terrorism trial ever in the history of the United States, where our government handed down 108 guilty verdicts for Muslim Americans and Muslim American organizations raising money to support terrorist organizations in the Middle East to the tune of millions. And I'm just going to read you a paragraph of this plan, so it'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about. They talk about the settlement in the United States. Understanding the role of the Muslim Brother in North America. The process of settlement is a civilization jihadist process with all the word means. The Ikhwan, which is the Arabic word for brothers, must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers, so that it is eliminated and Allah's religion is made victorious over all other religions. Is this clear? They don't mince words, do they? But the most important page of this document is the last page. Because in the last page, they list 29 front Islamic organizations set up in the United States with the specific goal of sabotaging America from within and destroying America by our own hands. And I'm just going to name a few. Number 1 on the list is ISNA, Islamic Society of North America. And if you're familiar with ISNA, it's because they are now advisors to President Obama about Middle East policy. So we not only have the Fox watching the hen house, we have the Fox inside the White House dictating policy in the ear of the president. Number 2 on the list is the MSA, the Muslim Student Association. The Muslim Student Association has more chapters on American college campuses than the Democrats and the Republicans combined. Number 8 on the list is NATE, the North American Islamic Trust. The North American Islamic Trust owns the deed to over 90% of American mosques in the United States. That is a problem. Now, what makes this very important, and I'm going to focus in the last 5 minutes on education, is to show you how they set up every organizations in this plan to destroy America, focusing on every sector of our society. Organizations focused on publishing, organization focused on media, organization focused on education, with the strict purpose of doing sabotage to America from within. And I'm not talking military. We know that ISIS and Al-Qaeda and all the others want to attack the United States and do damage to the United States. As a matter of fact, we in the United States have 150 terrorist organizations right now operating in America. 5 of them are operating right here in the District of Columbia. And these are the ones we know about.
It is mind-boggling. And this is why we are seeing such a rise in anti-Semitism and anti-Americanism on American college campuses. You, in California especially, you have seen what's happening in your universities. It is a crime what's happening in American universities. Speakers like me, in order for me to go speak at any university USA, I have to have a full staff of bodyguards. Last university I spoke at was the University of Detroit at Ann Arbor, at Michigan at Ann Arbor. I had to have 8 people from the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and the CIA who were physically in the room, dressed like a SWAT team, ready to take people on with their big automatic weapons. We had a K-9 unit in the room an hour prior to my lecture, 2 police officers standing, 1 right next to the podium on each side, and a bodyguard standing waiting for me on each entrance to the stage, waiting to grab me in case something happens. Just for me to be able to speak and give a lecture on an American college campus. Here I am, a patriotic American, speaking about America and why we need to protect America from a threat against America. And a speaker on an American college campus in the 21st century has to have that much security to exercise her freedom of speech? Our founding fathers are turning in their graves.
I think it's very threatening. Don't move. I've got a croissant right here.
Oh my God,
yes.
That's loaded. Jackie kissing at 6 years old. This is a controversial topic, so back to you guys.
Okay, and the people at the school thought it might be a bomb, perhaps because it looks exactly like a fucking bomb.